one thing you'll notice before Jesus teaches his disciples to pray is he teaches them how not to pray. And this may seem rather cruel. Jesus is saying, not all people pray well, not all people pray right, and if you want to learn how to pray, the last place you should look is to religious people. The last place you should look is to religious people. Here's how he says it. I'll let him offend you. Chapter 6, verse 5, Matthew. And when you pray, so it's a good thing to pray, and we should pray, you must not be like the hypocrites. For they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and on the street corners, that they may be seen by others. Jesus is saying here, religious people love to pray to an audience. They love to perform before a crowd. I saw this on my way back. I was preaching in Ohio this week, and on the way back I had a layover in Utah. And I was sitting there, and I noticed a young Jewish guy with a huge hat, the biggest hat I've ever seen. It was basically a roof. And he had a black suit on and a white shirt, and he had the sideburns, and he was standing up in the airport, and he was praying by bouncing back and forth like a bobblehead for a really long time, saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over, just praying this mantra over and over and over and over and over, loudly. In the airport. Now, he didn't look unusual or peculiar. No one noticed. No, but this guy looked like a freak, right? I mean, I was walking by going, wow, thank you, God, I'm on another team. That I have to wear a big hat and stand in the middle of the airport and bounce back and forth like I'm having my own personal earthquake, saying the same thing over and over and over. So I was waiting for him to get done praying so I could go talk to him and read him Matthew 6. I thought, I'm preaching on it Sunday. I'll share this verse and see how he responds. And he kept praying. He kept doing this for a long time. And I wanted licorice. So I went and bought licorice. This would be an illustration of the difference between our religions. I went to buy licorice while he was praying very loudly in the airport. And when I came back, he was talking on the phone. And I waited until my flight, and he was still on the phone, so I didn't get a chance to talk to him. But I really thought in my heart, it's really sad that guy has that kind of relationship with God. I'm sure certain people are looking at it going, man, look how devoted he is. Look how committed he is. And Jesus would say, look how silly he is. So we say, that's not nice. What happens is that religious people like to put themselves out in public so that everyone will think well of them and that everyone will act like them. And in making fun of them, Jesus is saying, don't imitate them. Religious people seem very bold, confident. They're very disciplined. They're very organized. They're very systematic. They're very formal. Jesus says, no, don't pray like that. Don't pray like that. You don't need to put down a mat and face east 3 times a day, no matter what you're doing. We pray differently. Those of us who are Christian, we pray differently. He says, don't pray like that. Well, you'll see in a minute, he's ultimately going to tell us not to look to religious people to learn how to pray, but look to children who have a good dad and see how the kids interact with their daddy. If you want to learn about prayer, that's where you look. You look to kids interacting with their daddy, not religious people standing up in public, making a spectacle of themselves. Well, moving right along. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you pray, go into your room, shut the door, go to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. And when you pray, do not heap up empty phrases as the Gentiles do, for they think they will be heard by their many words. Do not be like them. Do not be like them. I tell you this because some of you are not Christians, and you come here and you say, okay, we're talking about prayer. Are you going to make me into a religious person? No, not at all. Jesus is better than religion. And Jesus actually opposed religion, and it was religious people who murdered Jesus. So the good news is, you don't have to be religious. You can be like Jesus and follow his instruction. They think they will be heard for their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him. And he's going to say, pray like this. So here is the problem with religious prayer. First of all, Jesus says, religious prayer is for an audience, not for God. It's to impress people, not to connect with God. Secondly, religious people like to use all kinds of religious words. So prayer seems like it's very complicated, very difficult, very hard. Thirdly, religious people pray for a really long time. You say, oh boy, I guess God, he only likes long prayers. No, God's a dad. He'll accept prayer of any length. And they also like to heap up word after word. They repeat themselves like a mantra, like the dude at the airport. I'm a dad. I would be so frustrated if my kids came up to me and said, I want a peanut butter jelly sandwich, 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 I want a peanut butter jelly sandwich. I'd be like, look, I got it. I totally got it. Would you like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? You don't need to ask me 57 times, wear me down. We're not arm wrestling, you're going to beat your dad. Just ask. Religious people don't understand God, and religious people, as a result, don't understand prayer. The last thing Jesus says is that religious people think that they're telling God their needs as if God didn't know. The primary point of prayer is not to go to God and say, God, here's what I need. It's not like God's in heaven going, thanks for telling me. I had no idea. You're homeless, you're unemployed, you got ripped off. Gosh, I must have been asleep at the wheel. I appreciate the information. Now I'm all caught up. See, God sees and knows everything. When we come to prayer, we're not telling God something He doesn't know. When we come to pray, we're not making God do something He doesn't want to do. And we're not impressing God with our long prayers or our religious verbiage and language. Religious prayer is repugnant to God. Christian prayer is supposed to be humble, talking earnestly and not boasting. Christian prayer is to be simple, just talking to Dad. Christian prayer is to be respectful. Honor your dad. God's your father. Respectful. Not telling him what to do, bossing him around. Sincere, heartfelt, and personal. Talking to Dad.